Good afternoon, algebra class. Today we are going to be working on section 5.5, standard form for an equation. So the standard form for an equation is going to be in the form of ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c, these numbers in front of x and y, and then the number over here by itself, are going to be real numbers. So they can be any number that you can think of. We just do not want them to be zero. We don't want a and b to be zero. And we'll talk about some examples of what that looks like. But let's first review the other forms to an equation that we've talked about. The one that you're probably most familiar with, the slope-intercept form, is y equals mx plus b. Now this b here is the y-intercept and is not the same as this b. So we'll use capital B when we're referring to the b in standard form, and lowercase b when we're referring to the b in slope-intercept form. So don't confuse the two. These are different, okay? So this is different than b above in standard form. Okay, so that's a different b. The other form that you should be familiar with is point slope form. It's the one that we most recently have worked with. And that's where you have a slope. Sometimes you have to find by doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So it just depends on whether it's given or not. And then the point x1, y1 is substituted in, and here is the form, okay, slope-intercept form. So let's see if we can identify which linear equation is in standard form, which is in slope-intercept form, and which is in point-slope form. So I see two of them are in slope-intercept form. These two here would be slope-intercept form. So for point-slope form, I'm going to move this up just a little bit and out of the way. There we go. So let's change my color, green. So slope-intercept form is A and B. So these two, A and B. So the C, I would say, is standard form. So C here is standard form. Here's the A. B is here and is really -7. Anytime you have a minus, we have to interpret that as a negative. So it's -7, and there's the C in standard form. And then the last one here, we'll label that one. This one, D, is going to be point slope form. So that is because the y1, here's y1, x1 is really -7 because it's minus a negative, and then there's the m. So we've looked at three different forms. Now let's practice using standard form. To use standard form is useful for finding the x-intercept and the y-intercept. And there are some steps to follow. Okay? To find the x-intercept, first thing you do is set y equal to 0. And the second step is solve for x. So let's do that. We're going to say 5x minus 6. We're going to make y 0 and solve for x. This just becomes 0. So we end up with 5x equals 60. We divide by 5, and we get x equals, so 5 goes in there 12 times. So the x-intercept is 12. To find the y-intercept, so I'm going to slide this over so that I can put, there we go, the steps for solving for the y-intercept over here. And we'll do that in a different color here. So the steps to find the y-intercept are very similar, except we're going to set x equal to 0 for the y-intercept. So it's always the opposite variable will be 0 for the intercept you're trying to find. And step 2 will be solve for y. So we're going to go up here and make x 0. This will become 0, so we just get, now don't lose your minus here. This becomes a negative. Divide by -6, and y equals -10. So the x-intercept is 12. This is the x-intercept. And this over here is the y-intercept. So that is where the x is on the x-axis, and this is where the line is on the y-axis. So how do we graph using x and y-intercept? So graphing, this is just another way to graphing a line using x and y intercepts. So first, we're going to find the x-intercept. So hold on here. 2x plus 5 times 0 equals 20. X equals 10. So divide by 2. So there's the x-intercept. The y-intercept, we'll be making x 0. So we get 5y. Y equals 4 when you divide by 5. So there's the y-intercept. So we're going to graph this. And to graph this, I am going to clip some graph paper here so that we have something to graph here. Actually, that's not the one I wanted. So I'll delete that one. This one here. All right, so we're going to plot the x-intercept. So the x-intercept is 10. So that means we go to the x-axis and graph 10. The y-intercept is 4, so we go up here to 4 and we graph that. And then we just graph our line on there, going through those 2 points. So there is the x-intercept, y-intercept way of graphing. So this is just another way to graph. We've learned how to graph using slope-intercept, point slope, and now standard form using x and y intercepts. Now we're going to talk about what a horizontal and vertical line looks like. So here we're going to work with graphing a horizontal line and a vertical line and interpret these as those. So this is an equation, x equals 4, not to be confused with an x-intercept. So if we're going to graph this, we're going to need our graph paper. So we get our, so we're going to graph these as lines. So the first one we're going to graph is x equals 4. So x equals 4, we go to x equals 4. Now this is not just a dot. This is a line. When we're graphing an equation, it will be a line. So this is going to be a vertical line when it's x equals. Because we're going to graph this as a vertical line through x equals 4. So it's a vertical line, x equals 4. Sorry that the line is not very straight, but the interpretation is x equals 4 is a vertical line. The equation, y equals 3, will be a horizontal line. So we go to y equals 4, and we graph the horizontal line. So I'm going to do this in a different color. We'll do it in red. So we get a horizontal line, y equals 4. So I graphed, the red one was y equals 3. Y equals 4 is what I graphed. Let me correct that. I apologize for that error. So we're going to delete this line. We're going to cut that line. We wanted to graph y equals 3, not y equals 4. Y equals 3 is here. There we go. So y equals 3 is the line we're graphing. So now we're going to talk about how to take an equation, this is in point slope form, and put it into standard form using integers. Now if you remember, integers are just these numbers. They continue on, no decimals, just whole numbers and their opposites. So the first thing we have to do is distribute. So we're going to distribute first. So we're going to try to get this into standard form, ax plus by equals c. So we distribute, we get negative 1/3 x. Negative 1/3 times 6 is going to be negative 2. So I just distributed. All right. Now we're going to get the x's on the same side. So in this case, we're going to add 1/3 x, so that we get 1/3 x plus y minus 2 equals negative 2. And then the last thing we need to do here is add 2 to both sides. So we end up with 1/3 x plus y equals 0. Now, in order for it to be standard form, we need them to be integers. 1/3 is not an integer. So what we need to do is multiply by the denominator to clear the fractions. So to clear fractions, you multiply by the denominator. So the denominator is 3. So we're going to multiply the whole equation by 3. So 3 times 1/3 is 1x. 3 times y, 3y. And 3 times 0 is still 0. So here is the standard form for this equation. So there's your notes for today. We'll do some more practice on standard form in the class. Answer the questions after the video, and we'll discuss any of the notes when you come to class tomorrow.